Budget magic time. All in Shaman in standard. And we'll keep this. Not awesome, but island for our opponent. And passes. Well, Mountain and Flamekin Harbinger. Search out a Rage Forger. Pass the turn. Wonder what our opponent's on. Sulphur Falls. Our opponent passes. We draw Rage Forger. Well, let's get in for one. Forest and Bosque Banneret. Alright, opponent remands. It slows us down a little. Another Sulphur Falls. And a young Pyromancer. Well, let's Bosque Banneret, Mountain, and Fire Drinker Satyr. Pass the turn. I don't think we want to attack here. Opponent bolts are Bosque Banneret. Alright, also slows us down a little. Misty. Gets in for one. We'll take it. Opponent passes. Well, Bosque Banneret, Fire Drinker Satyr. Temple of Abandon, get some scry action. Think we keep the bolt because it gets rid of young Pyromancer. And pass the turn, we really don't want to trade with a token. Thought Scour for our opponent, gets another token. Mills, a Delver, and a Probe. Electrolyze is super bad for us. Island. And Snapcaster Mage. For Lightning Bolt, okay. What are they bolting? Gets another token. Kills Bosque Banneret. Opponent swings with everything. We'll take it. Another young Pyromancer. Well, our bolt's looking a little worse, but let's bolt young Pyromancer. Rage Forger. Put a counter on everything. And then do some attacking. Hit our opponent for 3 with Rage Forger triggers. Vapor Snag, a Fire Drinker. Jeez. Alright. Well, our opponent has a lot of good things, I guess. Kind of the nut draw. Double Young Pyromancer, Snapcaster, Bolt, double Vapor Snag. It's about as good as it gets. Opponent is playing Faithless Looting. Okay. Discards double Monastery Swift Spear. And finds another Bolt. Well, good for our opponent. Goes attacking. And we draw land. Alright. Well, that's just a very above average draw for our opponent. We get Gut Shots. And possibly Sudden Shocks. Go down, I think just Fire Drinkers. And try it like that. Alright, we get to play first. Alright, I guess it's reasonable. Let's just Temple of Abandon. Get a Scry. Mountain, definitely to the bottom. Pass the turn. Scalding Tarn, cracks it. And Serm Visions. Let's just Mountain and Fauna Shaman. Pass the turn. Mountain for our opponent. And Pillar of Flame on Fauna Shaman. And a Delver. Well, Elvish Visionary, draw a card. Mountain. And then let's just Flamekin Harbinger. Search up a Rage Forger. Pass the turn. Does Delver flip? Of course, with a Gitaxian Probe. Well, opponent probes down to 15. Sees a handful of burn spells, which means they're not very far away from being dead. Stomping Grounds tapped. Gets in for 3. Down to 17. Well, Rootbound Crag and Rage Forger. Opponent has remand. Sure. We get in for 2. Put our opponent to 13. Do we dare waste a burn spell on a Delver? I think the answer is yes. It doesn't feel great. Puts us further away from winning by just burn. But I think the payoff is there. Because now our opponent has to keep tapping mana to play more threats. Theoretically. And we draw another bolt anyway. Well, Rage Forger. Kind of expecting Snapcaster Remand. But no. Opponent. They have Vapor Snags or something? Thought Scours himself. Hits a bolt and a Scalding Tarn. Well, we go attacking. And this is pretty close to doing it, in all honesty. There's a Snapcaster. Probably going to flashback a Lightning Bolt. Sure. Blocks. And bolts. Okay. Serum Visions. Oh, we're 2 damage away from winning with burn spells. So close. Sulfur Falls for our opponent. There's a Snapcaster. Probably for a Pillar of Flame. Yep. Well, pretty much anything but lands is good here. Well, let's Lightning Bolt our opponent. Lightning Bolt our opponent. Atarka's Command our opponent. And this should do it. We have a Sudden Shock in hand, and you can't counter a Sudden Shock. So unless our opponent can kill us here, or randomly has a black splash we don't know about. Well, our opponent's probably going to scoop when they see our hand, because there isn't any way to get around Sudden Shock. And that does it! Whew! Well, that was a weird draw. We drew a ton of burn, which actually worked out somehow. Run it back. Alright. A reasonable hand. Assuming we don't just get countered into oblivion. Misty for our opponent. Steam Vents. Untap down to 17. And a Swift Spear. One of the creatures we can't just gut shot. Well, Mountain, go. Sulfur Falls and Serum Visions. Pumps up the Swift Spear. Gets in 4-2. We're down to 17. And passes. Well, Forest, Burning Tree Emissary. Add some mana. And Bosk Banneret. Pass the turn. Opponent bolts our Banneret. That's actually pretty fine. They lose a prowess trigger doing it that way. I mean, it does slow us down slightly, but we'll just take one here. Snapcaster Mage for Lightning Bolt, I assume. Alright. Well, our opponent's getting low on resources. Bolts our Burning Tree. Down to 15. Well, we Elvish Visionary. Draw a card. Not a land. Alright. Then we Mountain. Flamekin Harbinger. Search out a Rage Forger. And pass the turn. Opponent gets in 4-1. Alright, Forest. Beastcaller's Savant. And Rage Forger. Get a counter on everything. Do some attacking. Hit our opponent for 2 with Rage Forger triggers. Kind of feels like we're in good shape now with our opponent does not know about a second Rage Forger. Opponent drops to 15. Bolts are Flamekin Harbinger. Okay. They've also used a lot of bolts. Blocks with Snapcaster. We pass the turn. What do you got, opponent? Wooded Foothills. Roast our Rage Forger. Opponent's down to 2 cards, and we have another Rage Forger. And a bolt. Well, Rage Forger number 2. Pumps up our Beastcaller Savant. All the way up to a 3-3 somehow. Vapor Snags our Beastcaller Savant. Oh, this is beginning of combat. Alright. Well, our opponent's pretty close to out of action. Cracks there, Wooded Foothills. We got a Bolt and a Gut Shot left. And more cards in our opponent. Alright. Our opponent's on the mono removal plan. Gets in for 2. We're down to 9. Well, we Beast Caller Savant. Get in for 1. Rootbound Crag pass the turn. We do need to find creatures. Opponent finds the Certain Visions. Pumps up the Swift Spear. Bottom and top. Puts us down to 7. Ugh, that is a really bad time to draw land. Put our opponent down to 12. Play another land, pass the turn. Yeah, we are flooding out pretty severely in a 20 land deck. Opponent has a Thought Scour. Mills 2 lands. Fortunate. And an Is It Charm? Well, let's bolt the Swift Spear. Discards lands. Finds a Delver. Well. Oh, Moto, really? 7 lands in a 20 land deck feels like an infinite amount. Dragon's Claw. If we ever draw creatures, Atarka's Command would be good. Opponent passes. Well, Elvish Visionary is actually a pretty good draw. A creature that gets us a redraw into a Burning Tree Emissary. Does gain our opponent a life, unfortunately. Mana doesn't really do anything. Alright, get in for 1. Pass the turn. Now we kind of want another Atarka's Command or a Rage Forger. Those are probably our best draws. Opponent's going to probe, sees the Atarka's Command, and passes. Ooh, Sudden Shock. Alright, let's attack with everything. 1, 2... Alright, Vapor Snake's our Burning Tree. We drop to 6. Replay Burning Tree. Add mana. Play Mountain. Pass the turn. Alright, let's not get burnt out here. Opponent draws. Finds a young Pyromancer. Oh my lord. What else do they got? So we Sudden Shock Pyromancer. Our opponent goes to 11. Atarka's Command is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, I think we go for it. Sudden Shock, Young Pyromancer. Opponent gains a life. Attack with everything. Tarka's Command. 3 damage. Pump our creatures. Opponent drew a Dispel. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright. So we just get in, put our opponent to 8, pass the turn. Opponent finds a Swift Spear, gains some life. Gets in with Swift Spear. And passes. Well, I think we go for it again. Attack with everything. Tarka's Command number 2. If our opponent doesn't have anything, this should be Xaxes. Alright, opponent has a Bolt, keeping them just barely alive. Opponent's down to 4. Play a Fauna Shaman, pass the turn. What do you got, opponent? What do you have? Vapor Snake's Fauna Shaman. Rage Forger for the win. Atarka's Command. Ugh, Fauna Shaman. Alright. Get in with both. Put our opponent to 2. Fauna Shaman. Draw land, opponent. You draw land, the game's over. Opponent finds Serum Visions. They get a redraw. What does the redraw give them? They bottom top. They draw a creature. What do we draw? This'll do it. We drew a creature. Fauna Shaman, Pitch Burning Tree Shaman. Get a Rage Forger. I guess this doesn't win us the game because our opponent's going to gain a life, but it is going to force a double chump. Rage Forger, counter on everything. Attack with both. The question is, what did our opponent leave on top of their deck? Likely something to flip Delver for the win. Blocks, blocks. No scoop from our opponent. The card is Bedlam Reveler. Draw 3 cards. Goes up to 2 life. What do they find in the 3 cards? Oh my god. Island. Pyromancer. Are they slow rolling us? Are they slow rolling us for the kill here? Is that what's happening? Is their last card a bolt? Opponent passes. We draw a land, unfortunately. Well, let's go to combat, see what our opponent does. Swing with everything. Yes! Oh my god, we got there! What a game! Oh my goodness! Whoo! Shaman for the win. Good lord.